Here's a question for you. How many of you woke up this morning and thought, I already have everything I need to be happy? Not many hands going up, I see, and that's exactly why we need to talk today. Because most people spend their entire lives chasing happiness like it's something you can catch if you just run fast enough. But here's what I learned after decades of watching successful people. The ones who are truly happy aren't the ones who have the most. They're the ones who appreciate what they already have. You know what's interesting? We live in the most prosperous time in human history. More people have access to food, shelter, education, and opportunity than ever before. Yet depression rates are at an all-time high. Anxiety is through the roof. People are less satisfied with their lives than their grandparents were during the Great Depression. How do you explain that? I'll tell you how. We've forgotten one of life's most important skills, being happy with what we have. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have goals. I'm not telling you to stop trying to improve your life. That's not what this is about. What I am saying is that if you can't be happy with what you have right now, today, at this very moment, then getting more won't solve your problem. Because happiness isn't found in the getting. It's found in the appreciating. Think about the last time you really wanted something. Maybe it was a new car. You thought about it day and night. You pictured yourself driving it. You imagined how good you'd feel behind that wheel. And then you got it. How long did that feeling last? A month? 2 months? Before you knew it, that new car was just your car. And your eyes started wandering to the next model, the better one, the one your neighbor just bought. This is the trap we all fall into. We think happiness is always one purchase away, one promotion away, one relationship away. But it never is. Because as soon as we get what we want, we move the target, the finish line keeps moving further down the track, and we wonder why we're exhausted, why we're frustrated, why we're never quite satisfied. I remember talking to a man who had built a fortune in real estate, owned properties all over the country, big house, fancy cars, private jet. And you know what he told me? He said, Jim, I was happier when I had nothing but a studio apartment and a bicycle. I asked him why. He said, because back then I appreciated what I had. Now I just worry about losing it all. That conversation changed my thinking. Here was a man who had everything our society tells us to want, and he was miserable. Meanwhile, I knew people living paycheck to paycheck who woke up grateful every single day. What was the difference? It wasn't what they had, it was how they looked at what they had. You see, gratitude isn't just some feel-good concept. It's a discipline. It's a choice you make every single day. When you wake up in the morning, you can focus on what's missing from your life, or you can focus on what's already there. That choice will determine the quality of your entire day. String enough of those days together, and it determines the quality of your entire life. Let me give you an example. 2 people wake up in the same neighborhood, same type of house, same income level. One looks out the window and thinks, I wish I lived in a better area. I wish I had a bigger house. I wish I made more money. The other looks out and thinks, I'm grateful I have a roof over my head. I'm thankful I have a job. I'm blessed to live in a safe neighborhood. Same circumstances, completely different experience. Why? Because happiness isn't about what happens to you. It's about how you interpret what happens to you. Now, some of you might be thinking, that's easy for you to say, Jim. You don't know my situation. You don't know what I'm going through. And you're right. I don't. But I do know this. Whatever your situation is, you can find something to be grateful for. Even in the darkest times, there's always a glimmer of light if you're willing to look for it. I learned this lesson the hard way. When I was starting out, I had nothing. Barely scraped by. Some months I didn't know how I'd pay rent. But you know what? Those were some of the best times of my life. Why? Because every small victory felt huge. Getting a new client was cause for celebration. Making an extra $100 felt like winning the lottery. I appreciated every little thing because I had so little to appreciate. And as I became more successful, something strange happened. The victories got bigger, but they felt smaller. Making $1,000 didn't excite me anymore. Then 10,000 didn't, then 100,000 didn't. The more I had, the less I appreciated it. Until one day I realized I'd become rich in money but poor in gratitude. And that's when I made a conscious decision to change. I started a simple practice. Every morning before I did anything else, I'd write down 3 things I was grateful for. Not big things, simple things. The smell of coffee, the warmth of sunlight through my window, the fact that I woke up healthy. At first it felt forced, but after a few weeks something shifted. I started noticing things I'd been taking for granted for years. You know what I discovered? We're surrounded by miracles every single day, but we're too busy looking for bigger miracles to notice them. Think about it. You woke up this morning, your heart kept beating all night without you having to think about it. Your lungs kept breathing. That's a miracle. You can see colors, hear sounds, taste food. Those are miracles. You have people in your life who care about you. That's a miracle. But we dismiss all of this as ordinary because we're focused on what we don't have. Here's something that might surprise you. Studies show that once your basic needs are met, additional income has very little impact on happiness. Very little. Once you have food, shelter, safety, and some social connection, getting more stuff doesn't make you much happier. In fact, it often makes you less happy because it complicates your life. More things to worry about, more things to maintain, more things to lose. I see this all the time with successful people. They work their whole lives to afford a vacation home, then stress about maintaining 2 properties. They buy a boat, use it twice a year, and spend the rest of the time paying for storage and repairs. They upgrade to a luxury car and suddenly worry about where to park it. Everything we add to our lives doesn't just cost money. It costs mental energy. It costs peace of mind. But here's the real tragedy. While we're busy chasing more, we miss what we already have. We're so focused on tomorrow's happiness that we forget about today's blessings. We sacrifice present joy for future possibilities that may never materialize. And even if they do, we've trained ourselves to be dissatisfied, so we won't enjoy them anyway. Let me tell you about a woman I met years ago. She cleaned offices for a living. Single mother, 3 kids, barely made enough to get by. But she was one of the happiest people I'd ever met. I asked her secret. She said, "Mr. Rohn, every night my kids go to bed with full stomachs and a roof over their heads. Every morning I wake up with a job to go to. I've got my health, I've got my family, and I've got my faith. What more could I ask for?" Now contrast that with another person I knew. Inherited millions, never had to work a day in his life. But he was miserable, always complaining. Nothing was ever good enough. The food wasn't right. The service wasn't fast enough. The weather wasn't perfect. He had everything, but appreciated nothing. Which one would you rather be? The happiness isn't about having more. It's about wanting less. It's about recognizing that you already have enough. Enough to be content, enough to be grateful, enough to be happy. But this requires a shift in perspective that most people never make. They're too busy looking up the ladder to see that they're already several rungs from the bottom. Here's what I want you to understand. Gratitude isn't passive. It's not about settling or giving up on your dreams. It's about building a solid foundation of appreciation that actually helps you achieve more. When you're grateful for what you have, you operate from a position of abundance rather than scarcity. You make better decisions. You attract better opportunities. You build better relationships. Think about it. Who would you rather do business with? Someone who's always complaining, always dissatisfied, always focusing on what's wrong, or someone who's positive, appreciative, and finds the good in every situation? The grateful person wins every time. Not because they're naive or unrealistic, but because they create an energy that people want to be around. I learned this in my own career. When I stopped focusing on what I lacked and started appreciating what I had, everything changed. I became a better speaker because I was genuinely grateful for every audience. I became a better mentor because I appreciated the opportunity to share what I'd learned. I became a better businessman because I valued every client, every opportunity, every lesson learned from failure. You see, gratitude is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And just like physical exercise, it's hard at first. Your mind will resist. It's been trained to focus on problems, on what's missing, on what needs to be fixed. That's how we survived as a species. Our ancestors who worried about threats lived longer than those who didn't. But in today's world, that constant focus on what's wrong is making us miserable. So how do you build this gratitude muscle? Let me give you some practical steps. First, start each day by acknowledging 3 things you're grateful for. Write them down. Be specific. Don't just say family. Say, I'm grateful my daughter called me yesterday. Don't just say health. Say, I'm grateful I could walk up the stairs without getting winded. Second, catch yourself when you start comparing. Comparison is the thief of joy. When you find yourself thinking about what others have that you don't, stop. Redirect your thoughts to what you have that others might not. Maybe you don't have their money, but you have your integrity. Maybe you don't have their looks, but you have your wisdom. Maybe you don't have their success, but you have your peace of mind. Third, practice saying thank you. Really saying it. Not just the automatic response when someone holds a door, but genuine appreciation for the people and experiences in your life. Thank the person who serves your coffee. Thank your spouse for something specific they did today. Thank your body for carrying you through another day. The more you express gratitude, the more you'll feel it. Fourth, reframe your problems as opportunities. This is hard, but it's powerful. Lost your job? That's an opportunity to find something better. Relationship ended? That's an opportunity to grow and learn about yourself. Health scare? That's an opportunity to appreciate your body and take better care of it. Every challenge contains the seed of an equal or greater benefit, but only if you look for it. Now, let me address something important. Some of you might be dealing with real hardship right now. Serious illness, financial crisis, loss of a loved one. And you might be thinking, how can I be grateful when I'm going through this? I'm not minimizing your pain. I'm not saying you should pretend everything is fine. What I am saying is that even in the depths of suffering, gratitude can be a lifeline. I've seen people facing terminal illness who were grateful for every remaining day. I've seen people who lost everything in natural disasters grateful their families survived. I've seen people betrayed by those they trusted most grateful for the lesson learned. This isn't about denying reality. It's about finding light in the darkness. Because that light, however small, can guide you through. You know what's funny? The more successful I became, the more I realized that success without satisfaction is the ultimate failure. What good is achieving all your goals if you're not happy when you get there? What good is climbing to the top of the mountain if you're too busy looking at the next peak to enjoy the view? I see this with young people especially. They're so focused on becoming successful that they forget to be grateful for their youth, their energy, their potential. They think happiness will come when they make their first million. But I'll tell you a secret. If you can't be happy with $1,000, you won't be happy with $1 million. If you can't be happy single, you won't be happy married. If you can't be happy in a small house, you won't be happy in a mansion. Happiness isn't a destination, it's a way of traveling. And gratitude is the vehicle that gets you there. When you're grateful, you see opportunities instead of obstacles. You see abundance instead of lack. You see possibilities instead of problems. This doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you choose which aspect of reality to focus on. Let me share another story. I knew 2 brothers who grew up in the same household. Same parents, same neighborhood, same opportunities. One became successful and happy. The other struggled and stayed bitter. When I asked them about their childhood, the successful brother talked about how his parents worked hard to provide for them, how they always had food on the table, how they learned the value of hard work. The struggling brother talked about how poor they were, how they never had nice things, how unfair life was. Same childhood, different stories. Which story are you telling yourself? Your biography doesn't determine your destiny. Your interpretation of your biography does. You can't change what happened to you, but you can change what it means to you. You can't control all your circumstances, but you can control your response to them. And that response starts with gratitude. Here's something else I've noticed. Grateful people are more creative. When you appreciate what you have, you find new ways to use it. When you're dissatisfied with what you have, you're blind to its potential. I've seen entrepreneurs build fortunes with nothing but gratitude and ingenuity. They looked at what others dismissed as worthless and saw opportunity. They were grateful for the little they had and leveraged it into more. Gratitude also makes you more resilient. When you're grateful, setbacks don't devastate you. You bounce back faster because you remember all the things that are still going right. You maintain perspective. You keep moving forward. Ungrateful people get stuck in their setbacks. They wallow in what went wrong. They can't see past their problems to their possibility. Let me give you a challenge. For the next 30 days, start each morning by writing down 3 things you're grateful for. Different things each day. By the end of the month, you'll have 90 reasons to be happy, 90 blessings you've acknowledged, 90 pieces of evidence that your life is better than you thought. I guarantee this simple practice will change your perspective. But here's the key. This isn't just about feeling good. It's about being effective. Grateful people are more productive. They waste less energy on complaints and spend more energy on solutions. They build better teams because people want to work with them. They make better decisions because they're not clouded by negativity. They achieve more because they're energized by appreciation rather than drained by dissatisfaction. Think about the people you admire most. The ones who've really made a difference. Were they the complainers, the critics, the ones always pointing out what's wrong? Or were they the ones who saw possibility where others saw problems? Who found reasons to be grateful where others found reasons to complain? Who built rather than tore down? I'll tell you something else. Gratitude is contagious. When you're grateful, it spreads to the people around you. Your family feels it. Your coworkers feel it. Your friends feel it. You become a light in a world that often feels dark. You become a source of hope in a world that often feels hopeless. You become an example of what's possible when you choose appreciation over complaint. But let's be honest, this isn't easy in today's world. We're bombarded with messages telling us we need more, advertisements designed to make us dissatisfied, social media showing us everyone else's highlight reel, news focused on everything that's wrong. It takes real discipline to maintain gratitude in this environment. It takes conscious effort to swim against the current of dissatisfaction. That's why you need to be intentional about it. You need to create habits that reinforce gratitude. Surround yourself with grateful people. Read books that inspire appreciation. Limit your exposure to sources of negativity. Choose your inputs carefully because they shape your outputs. What you feed your mind determines how you feel. Here's a practical tip. When you're tempted to complain about something, ask yourself this question. Will this matter a year from now? 5 years from now? Most of the things we get upset about are temporary inconveniences that we won't even remember. But we sacrifice our peace of mind for them. We trade our happiness for momentary frustrations. That's a bad trade. You know what I've learned after all these years? The happiest people aren't the ones with the most reasons to be happy. They're the ones who look for reasons to be happy. They're the ones who choose gratitude as their default setting. They're the ones who understand that happiness isn't something that happens to you. It's something you create. And here's the beautiful thing. You can start right now. Right this moment. You don't need to wait for your circumstances to change. You don't need more money, more success, more anything. You just need to shift your focus from what's missing to what's present. from what's wrong to what's right, from what you lack to what you have. Let me tell you something that might shock you. Most millionaires aren't any happier than they were when they made $50,000 a year. Studies prove this. Once you can pay your bills and put food on the table, extra money doesn't buy extra happiness. It might buy comfort, it might buy convenience, but it doesn't buy contentment. That comes from inside. That comes from gratitude. I remember when I first started speaking professionally, small rooms. Sometimes only 20 people showed up, but I was thrilled. 20 people wanted to hear what I had to say. Later, I spoke to thousands, filled auditoriums. And you know what? It wasn't any more satisfying than those small rooms. The joy came from serving, from sharing, from connecting, not from the numbers. You want to know the real difference between successful people and truly successful people? Successful people achieve their goals. Truly successful people enjoy the process. Successful people reach the destination. Truly successful people appreciate the journey. Which one are you trying to be? Here's what happens when you practice gratitude consistently. Your problems don't disappear, but they shrink in proportion to your blessings. Your challenges remain, but they no longer dominate your thinking. Your difficulties persist, but they no longer define your mood. You develop what I call gratitude vision. You see the same world through different eyes. I'll leave you with this thought. On your deathbed, you won't wish you had acquired more things. You won't regret not having a bigger house or a fancier car. You'll wish you had appreciated the things you had. You'll wish you had been more grateful for the people in your life. You'll wish you had savored the moments instead of rushing through them, trying to get to the next thing. Don't wait until then to learn this lesson. Start now. Start today. Choose gratitude. Choose appreciation. Choose to be happy with what you have while you work for what you want. Because the truth is, you already have everything you need to be happy. You just need to realize it. Remember, success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. When you're grateful for what you have, you attract more to be grateful for. When you appreciate your current blessings, you create space for more blessings to flow in. When you're happy with what you have, you become a magnet for more good things. So let me ask you again, what are you grateful for right now? Not tomorrow, not when things get better, right now, in this moment, with your current circumstances, with your current challenges. What can you appreciate? What can you be thankful for? Find it. Focus on it. Build on it. Because that's where your happiness lives, not in some future achievement, not in some external acquisition, but right here, right now, in your ability to appreciate what you already have. That's the secret to happiness. That's the key to fulfillment. That's the path to a life well lived. Learn to be happy with what you have, and you'll always have enough to be happy. Master this, and you master life itself. The choice is yours. Choose wisely. Choose gratefully. Choose now. One final thought before you go. Every morning, life offers you two invitations. One says, focus on what's missing. The other says, celebrate what's here. Most people automatically accept the first invitation. They don't even realize there's a choice. But now you know better. Now you can choose differently. Think about the legacy you want to leave. Do you want to be remembered as someone who always wanted more, or as someone who appreciated what they had? Do you want your children to inherit an attitude of scarcity or abundance? Do you want your life to be a testament to dissatisfaction or gratitude? The most valuable thing you can give your family isn't money. It's an example of how to live with appreciation. Show them that happiness doesn't come from having more, but from appreciating more. Teach them that joy isn't found in possessions, but in perspective. Model for them a life of gratitude, and you'll give them something worth more than any inheritance. Remember this, at the end of your life, You won't count your money, you'll count your moments. You won't measure your possessions, you'll measure your memories. You won't tally your achievements, you'll tally your appreciations. Make sure you have plenty to count. Start collecting them now. Start today. Start with gratitude.